That
All right, welcome back. Another episode of Ground and Pound Podcast. We got Sam Hunter's jumping on in just a second. He just got back from wrestling practice coaching. Sam, how are you doing?
pretty good, not too bad.
Pretty
A lot of snow
good.
up by me.
We're 10 days out from when we're recording this to the first UFC event of 2022. The UFC Fight Night between Calvin Kattar and Giga Chikadze. And then the week after, big pay-per-view, we got the heavyweight title fight between Ngannou and Sterling. Another two title fights, though, announced. UFC 272. We are getting the third fight between Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway. And then also we are getting Jan versus Jamaine Sterling. It is supposedly scheduled. We'll make sure that hopefully Aljo doesn't actually back out once again. Sam, how do you feel about those two title fights to be on the same card?
I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Aljamain suddenly comes up with an injury, like 2 weeks before the fight.
They will have to strip him at that point, I believe. And I think he knows that. I think there's not going to be an issue with this fight. Hopefully, it is going to be in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. So it's on domestic turf, so I don't think there's gonna be any issue this time around, hopefully. Really the only other big news is we have one side of this fight saying that it's happening, contract is signed. The other one says that the UFC says that this is not a big enough name for him. I'm not sure who I believe. We have Dustin Poirier versus Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz says that basically Poirier is a loser, and then also said, also Charles Oliveira, you're a loser too. So I don't know who he's trying to fight. I know that we're likely going to get Conor 3 at some point in these next year and a half. But I have a feeling this fight's going to happen, and according to Poirier, within the next 6 weeks.
Damn, that's pretty fast turnaround for him.
He didn't really take too much damage in that fight. I mean, he was just getting out grappled, and really when he was on the ground, he didn't take too much damage. So it's not too shocking to me. Plus, we're already about a month out of UFC 269. So I'm not sure how much I'm surprised by it, but hey.
I mean, he was bleeding a little bit in his fight. I know I just rewatched it last week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy that we're going to get Nate Diaz back in the octagon. Obviously, the sport's more entertaining with him in it. The Stockton audience, I should say, the Stockton fans of the Diaz brothers always come out in big numbers. So if this is at UFC 272 in Houston, I think that we're going to get a treat. That's the only event that makes sense to me. I can't see them putting those two on a fight night card where it's going to be free. I don't think Nate Diaz would actually agree to that. I think they both know that they are pay-per-view fighters at this point in their career.
Yeah. I mean, they could probably, honestly, that fight could probably co-main.
I would think so too. And right now, unless you're planning on Brunson and Cannonier being the co-main for Izzy and Whitaker, I don't see why that wouldn't make sense. I just think it'd be weird if you had middleweights as both the co-main and main event. So, I mean, I'm all for that being the UFC 272 co-main event. Plus, that card isn't too beautiful right now. So if adding that fight would really put a boost in the numbers. With them being in Houston too and not Vegas, I see them having to add one more big fight. And with it being within 6 weeks, it's going to be hard to find two more big names that are just ready to step in like these two. So I'm hoping for it to be at UFC 272. Obviously, 271 is when they'd fight. 270 is Ngannou versus Gain, and then Moreno versus Figueiredo 3. We'll be jumping more into predictions. Right now, I'm probably leaning Ngannou and Moreno. Sam, is that where you're kind of headed at right now too?
I mean, I'll get into the predictions a little later, but with my prediction, I'm leaning more towards Gane in that. I just think technically he's a better fighter than Ngannou. And I mean, he's undefeated for a reason. knocking out Derek Lewis in his last fight. And then yeah, probably Moreno in the other fight though, leaning towards.
The Ngannou situation is weird right now just because he's talking about not even fighting MMA after this contract. He is a boxing background. He's always said that he wants to get into boxing. He says that he's not going to end his career without getting into boxing. There's a real chance that he's going to be trying to be the heavyweight champion of the world of boxing, which usually I don't agree with MMA fighters going that route, but for Ngannou, that does make sense to me.
I agree. And then he's not going to go with Jake Paul.
No, I think there's too much of a weight difference, unfortunately. Unless Jake Paul really wants to bulk up, which I would love that.
I mean, he doesn't care too much about a weight difference in his fights.
I guess that's the only real other news. It seems like the Jake Paul and Dana White little scuffle is going nowhere. It sounds like Jake is avoiding kind of actually participating in steroid tests, even though he says he's not. And then Dana's just ignoring the entire little notes pad document that he made. So it sounds like they're just both not going to get into it. And I feel like if you're Jake, you need to focus now on boxer pay, because boxer pay is also pathetic. And we're getting joined by Hunter right now. So if you see it on their screen, Hunter, how are you doing?
I'm good. Good to see you guys.
Quickly talking about the Jake Paul little proposal for Dana White and fighter pay.
Fighter pay.
I don't have an issue with UFC pay. And also Ngannou, for someone that complains that he doesn't get paid enough, I actually just looked at his last fight. He got paid $780,000.
I think he needs to do better with his money, because Cowboy Cerrone's gotten paid maybe more than $300,000 maybe once in his whole career, and he is living a really good life.
Yeah, and we also just talked about Ngannou probably going to boxing after this MMA contract. Yeah. So,
and if you're a journeyman in the sport like Jim Miller doesn't fight any top 15 guys, but he makes over $100,000 a fight. So
the more experience, the more you get paid from the sponsorship deal.
It's about winning, and by Reebok or Venom now, I believe, whatever. But
yeah. So the more fights you get, the more you get paid in the UFC, which is exactly how it should be. And they don't go off your UFC fights; they go off your professional fights. So I don't have an issue with fighter pay. I think that what Jake fails to mention is that 12,000 number being the minimum pay is the minimum just to show. They also get doubled if they win. Which is just a driving factor of maybe I should train harder.
And that's the minimum for the 12,000 usually. You'll see an 8,000 here and there by really unnamed people.
It's the guys that like early prelims didn't even get a fight camp and they're just lucky to be there. They're gonna get paid 8,000, and then they're gonna get paid from Venom. They're gonna get paid from sponsorships, so they're getting paid more than what that number is. So I have no issue with the fighter pay. Any other news that you want to cover? I'll let you know if we already kind of.
Have you guys talked about Mike Perry, Julian Lane?
No. So that's the other big news. Probably the only BKFC event that we actually talk about, Knucklemania 2, going to be in East Hollywood, Florida. Highlighted by Mike Perry, former UFC star, and Let Me Bang Bro, Julian Lane from
Just
the
Let Me Bang. And those two have already gotten in fights at other events, so that's actually going to be a fun fight. I'm definitely going to tune in for that one.
Yeah, they fought in the crowd of one of the BKFC events as
Mike Perry was getting interviewed.
Or I think he might have been just doing an interview. I can't believe that guy's still fighting.
Yeah. I'm excited to see that, though. That's the perfect sport for Mike Perry. He's a guy that should go to bare knuckle, not Cody Garbrandt.
No, yeah, thank God. Sounds like Cody Garbrandt wants Sean O'Malley. Still, I don't like that for him.
For Cody or for Sean?
For Cody.
Oh yeah. After that last fight, there's no way.
Kai Kara France looks like a star now.
Sean O'Malley would obliterate Kai Kara France.
Oh, easily. Wouldn't even so. And now he has to go back up 10 more pounds. I don't see this ending up too well for him. But yeah, so the only other thing that we're going to do in this episode is who we think will be at the top of each division at the end of 2022. So on January 1st, 2023, who will be the champion of each division? And then we'll kind of give a short why after we kind of all make our picks, because I have a feeling we'll have a few that are going to be all the same. Do you guys want to start women's or men's divisions first?
Let's go women's.
All right.
Ladies first. We're gentlemen on this podcast.
Women's strawweight currently held by Rose Namajunas. Does anyone actually have a change in this division?
I do. I think the strawweight queen's going to come back, and Joanna Jędrzejczyk's going to end the season on top.
So it does sound like she's going to be fighting Zhang Weili in a rematch next. That's what she is saying. We haven't gotten any official word from the UFC. I have it staying with Rose. I just don't know how many fights Rose will have this year after, I believe, 3 this year. So I think that's where the issue is going to come, because we know we're probably getting Carla Esparza and Rose.
Marina Rodriguez is probably next in line.
Yeah, so I'm just not sure what the actual title run will look like. But I see her beating Carla, so I'm not sure she's going to get another fight in the middle of that. So I'm going to stick with Rose.
Yep, I'm sticking with Rose as well in this.
So that's pretty easy. Flyweight, Valentina Shevchenko. Do we have a change in that one?
No.
I don't think there's anything to be said. I just don't think anyone's nearly as good as her.
No.
All right. Currently at bantamweight, we have Juliana Pena. I have a change in this division.
I have Valentina Shevchenko in this division as well.
So I have someone that's a free agent currently. I have Kayla Harrison coming into the UFC, probably getting a title shot and probably taking this division.
She can't make 135.
You don't think so?
She fights at 155 in PFL. I could see her going featherweight. That's it.
I see her going into this division because I don't see her fighting Amanda Nunes. So unless she goes,
here's the thing: her judo weight was 163. She fought at 155. She's too big boned to make 35, but definitely featherweight.
I want to see what happens with this because she's also been talking about trying to fight Juliana now. So if she thinks she can do it, I'll say she can do it. But if she gets the title shot, she's going to win that fight. I don't think there's a question about that one. Sam, who did you have?
Yeah, if she can drop the weight, I also had Kayla.
I just can't see her fighting Amanda because they are training partners. They are so close to each other. Which at featherweight, that's another division with currently Amanda Nunes at top. Do you guys have a change in that division? There's no one else.
I have Kayla Harrison.
So that one you have Kayla Harrison. See, that's where I have Amanda Nunes. Just I don't think they'll fight each other.
I think that's gonna be Kayla's first fight back as a featherweight fight.
Well, Amanda's probably going to fight Juliana again. I know they both have said they're going to. I don't see the UFC turning that fight down. It's also going to come down to how active is Amanda and how much does she want to retain both, or well, if she wins that belt back, how much does she want to retain both belts? So women's, it's going to be hard to predict, I think, this year at the top 2. Going over to men's flyweight division, currently held by Brandon Moreno. He's obviously got a title fight with Davison Figueiredo at UFC 270. Do we have a change at the top of 270 or at that division?
For me, I have Askar Askarov ending up the year's champ.
Now, I believe he's scheduled to fight Kai Kara France now. I could be wrong.
March 26th.
March 26th on a fight night card. So that's kind of interesting that they didn't put them onto a pay-per-view. I have Moreno staying with the division.
I have the guy that's beat Moreno twice, Alejandro Pantoja. I think he's next in line too. So
yeah, I mean, if Kai Kara France wins the next fight, he could be a next in line.
Pantoja, how can you deny a guy that handedly beat Moreno twice?
Agreed. I mean, I think he's got to be in line. I do like Brandon Moreno a lot, so this is kind of a little biased of a pick for me. I don't know. This is another one where it just depends on how much they fight. I see him at least fighting twice this year. He should fight twice this year. Do we think that he's going to lose to Figueiredo at all at 270?
I'm going to go Figueiredo in that one, actually.
Because there's a real chance that Figueiredo could beat him too.
Figueiredo could knock him out
easily. So, I mean, it's going to depend now. If they're 1-1-1, I doubt the UFC goes a fourth straight fight.
They'll probably throw somebody else in between that if they wanted to go.
Right. Would that be the UFC's first 4-fight like rivalry? I thought Chuck had or is it Matt Hughes and BJ? They have 3? I don't know. Because if there hasn't been one, I don't see them making that the first one. I would have to imagine that it's going to be
other than Connor and Dustin. There could be a fourth.
McGregor and Poirier. Because McGregor is obviously a bigger draw than either of those two names. Without a doubt. At bantamweight, currently we have good old Jamaine Sterling. He's now scheduled to fight UFC 272 with Petr Yan. Who do we have at the top of this division? I'm going to stick with Yan. I don't see anyone beating him right now unless Henry Cejudo comes back.
Yeah, I have Yan as well.
So I think there's going to be 2 title fights at this division. I agree Jan's going to win that. I actually have TJ Dillashaw then. Probably getting a title shot. And I think he could beat Yan. You don't think so?
Big no for me. I'm team fuck TJ Dillashaw.
I know you are, but
EPO, he didn't beat Sandhagen, so I don't care. Judges F that one up. TJ Dillashaw would get absolutely obliterated, in my opinion, by Yan. I think Yan just has too much power right now, and TJ's greatest skill is his boxing, and that's what, Yan can beat him with.
There's also the unknown. Does Cejudo come back?
If Henry comes back, Triple C, I give him all day.
That's where I'm at too. If Cejudo comes back, I have Cejudo. And then at featherweight, we currently have Alexander Volkanovski. There is a title fight actually same night as Aljamain versus Yan. UFC 272. He's going to be fighting Max Holloway for the 3rd trilogy fight. He did win both the previous fights. Do we have any change from Volk? I have Volk. I have Volkanovski.
I have Volk as well, yeah.
So I don't think there's going to be much of a change there. Obviously, Holloway and Ortega are probably your 2 biggest threats. Unless Dan Hooker looks real good at 145, I just don't see them putting the 2 teammates together.
What's his face? Knockout Cancer. What's his name?
I don't know who you're talking about.
That's his Instagram handle. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm botching this one up, but I think he has a good chance to beat any of those guys.
Let me look it up right now.
Shoot.
I know who you're talking about because Giga.
Giga. Yeah. He's an absolute dog.
Yeah. I
can see him stylistically beating a guy like Volk.
It's just going to be, does he get a title shot this year? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if he wins his next one, he has a fight scheduled. So.
Yeah, against Cater.
Yep.
First.
He's going to run through Cater.
First main event of the year.
Yeah.
At lightweight, I think this is going to be a division that we get at least 3 title fights out of. Currently, it's Charles Oliveira. Obviously, he's probably getting Justin Gaethje next. Then he's probably going to get Islam. And then it's going to be the 3rd guy. Who do we think is going to be at the top of this division?
Completely unbiased. Me or Sam?
We'll start with Sam.
Sam, start off.
I'll go. I picked Islam.
That's a safe pick.
That's the safest pick.
I'm gonna go unbiased here and choose somebody that you probably wouldn't think I'd choose. I'm gonna go Conor McGregor. You can't deny he could get a title shot this year, and I feel like if he does, he wins.
I have Conor as well. I can't see him losing 3 in a row. I can't see him losing a chance when he gets the title shot again.
Connor does not lose title shots.
There is no way Conor McGregor leaves that arena without the belt. Hopefully, headlining Madison Square Garden or headlining the United Center.
And you know who's going to be the co-main is going to be a Sugar Sean. Then there's going to have Patty Pimblett on the card. Yeah. And Gary.
Headlining the Garden in Boston. He's going to get a big-time arena, and there's no reason that he's going to lose a fight, especially if it's to Islam. With knowing that Khabib's in that corner, there's going to be so much added motivation. Just
yeah. Islam's been knocked out before, so
clearly unbiased.
Yeah, super unbiased.
Welterweight division currently Kamaru Usman. I have questions about this division. I have a feeling with Eagle FC going 165, 175, I could see this division splitting in half.
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna go based on activity. Kamaev wants to fight. Kazmat wants to fight, and so I feel like you give him one or two good more wins, maybe even one solid win right now. Against a guy like Gilbert Burns, he's in line for the title shot, and I don't see anyone beating him. I do think he would beat Usman. So
I think a guy like Bilal Muhammad, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be a good fight too.
I'm gonna keep it with Kamaru Usman. I think that he's just so good, and I think he knows he's coming at the end of his run. The other option could be that he retires by the end of the calendar year, because I know he's another guy that's probably gonna retire young.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna keep it with Kamaru.
Yeah, I'm keeping it Kamaru. He's pretty much the top guys in the division. He's already starting to run through twice.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of running out of options. That's why the retirement option doesn't seem too bad.
But he cannot leave that division without fighting Kamaev.
That's definitely true. I don't disagree at all. At middleweight, currently held by Israel Adesanya, he's going to be fighting UFC 271 in Houston against Robert Whittaker. Do we think this one's going to change at all, though?
I think Izzy's going to keep it. Bobby Knuckles could beat him, but even if he does, I think Izzy would win the third one, which would be by the end of the year. So I think it's going to be Izzy or Blonde Brunson. We don't know.
I have it sticking with Izzy, but I think he's not going to be as dominant in this division as he has been. I think we're going to see him take a little bit of a step back, but not enough that it's going to make him lose the championship. Sam?
Yeah, I have it staying Izzy.
I mean, he's just the easy pick. Light heavyweight, I think this is the division we're going to have answers all over the place. Currently held by Glover Teixeira. Honestly, I don't see Glover even being active by the end of the year. So I have him actually retiring at some point, if not losing the belt.
Once Glover loses, he's going to retire.
So the guy, like, this division was the biggest if for me. I know the UFC likes to reward their guys that they like, that always give up the most to be part of the UFC, kind of represent the company the best. I could see Anthony Smith being the champion of this division, just so that the UFC can say that he was a champion at some point, especially if Glover retires, doesn't even try to defend the belt, and they just have Anthony Smith versus kind of a layup to get that belt. I have a weird feeling it's going to be Anthony Smith at the end of the year.
I have Yuri Prochaska, man. I think he's going to absolutely be a champion. I love him. Dude, if you've watched documentaries on him, he is a warrior through and through. He lives martial arts. That man is going to have the gold belt on his waist by the end of the year.
Yeah, I have Yuri as well. Probably my favorite fighter now to use in UFC 4.
Yep.
Absolute dog to use in the game. I don't think he's beatable at light heavyweight in that game, but yeah.
Yeah, Sam.
At heavyweight, obviously UFC 270, we're going to get the championship fight between Ngannou and Cyril Gane. Francis Ngannou is currently the champion. There's some bigger names behind him. I have it changing. Sam, who do you have first?
Yeah, I mean, I have it as I have Cyril Gahn finishing the year as heavyweight champ.
Okay.
I just think technically he's so good.
Should I just say the answer for both you and I, Hunter?
Just say it.
It's gonna be Jon Jones.
Let's
There's no way
go.
that it's not Jon Jones. If he has to get a fight before the championship fight, if they require him to do it, it's gonna be a huge pay-per-view with Stipe. And then he's going to get that title shot. There's no way you deny him. He's the greatest of all time. No one touches him. His one loss is a bunch of bullshit of illegal elbows.
Jon Jones.
He has
is
a
the
no
definition of a
contest
winner.
because of USADA, which I'm not sure how much I trust them because they still say that Kamaru Usman's completely clean. So Jon Jones, he's got to win this division.
Yeah, he's my clear-cut favorite. If Jon Jones fights, Jon Jones wins. So if he's fighting in 2022, he will have the belt.
He's young too still. Like, don't, especially for that division.
Him and Aldo are both so young, but so, like, seasoned.
Exactly. Like, they still have the youth. They seem old because they've just been around forever.
They're in their athletic primes right now, to be honest.
Right. Aldo, I think, was either 1 week or older or younger than Ngannou, which was crazy to me. So,
and you even see Izzy's like 30s, 31. Like, he just got in the sport. So, yeah, some of those guys have just been around forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go against Jon Jones. I think that's the easiest pick.
He can stay out of fighting off a contract.
Jeez. Yeah.
If Jon Jones can stay out of jail, he will be the champion of the division. Which, by the way, he never has been convicted of anything.
He's never been convicted, but he can be a scumbag outside of the octagon.
He's a UFC pay-per-view star. He's not going to go anywhere. Whether you love him or hate him, he's going to be the champion of the division.
Absolutely.
So we'll check back up on this in 52 weeks and see where we're at. I'm sure we're going to have quite a bit of things wrong because the UFC loves to make us look like idiots.
Loves to surprise us. Yep.
I don't think I would have had Juliana Pena being the women's champ right now.
No, she wouldn't have been in the conversation.
If you had to guess who's the number one pound for pound, I didn't write any of this down. Who would you guess for both men and women?
For me, for men, it's going to be Jones if he comes back and wins. It's either going to be him or Kamaru if Kamaru keeps dominating. For women's, I think it's going to be Valentina.
Unless Kayla Harrison. That's the only option, but I think Valentina. And if Usman continues to win, I have a feeling it will be Usman and then Jon Jones too, if our situations go as planned. Unless Jon Jones gets 2 fights this year, which would be the Stipe, and then I don't know who would be the second fight, Gahn or Ngannou. If Ngannou wins and then just leaves the UFC, Stipe versus Jon Jones could be the title fight, just in general.
Which I've been wanting that for a while. I feel like Cyril Gahn and Jones would be actually a really good fight, technically. I think that would be the toughest match for Jones. I think Jones could beat Francis pretty well. I think he beats Stipe pretty easily. I think him against Cyril Gahn, though, is a very interesting fight.
Yeah, and I can't wait to hear Cormier be announcing that next Jon Jones fight.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just best friends, so.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to say? First real episode of 2022 in the books. Thank you guys for riding with us.
We're going to, leading up to next fight weeks that are going to start coming up week by week, it'll be more exciting. We've had a big layoff, so I'm excited to get back to sending you guys bets. Just getting back to watching fights again. That'll be fun. But quick shout out to myself for being the 7th seed in my fantasy football league, and I drafted off Madden ratings, and I ended up winning the league. So fuck all you guys that think you know sports.
All right, good shout out. Also, big shout out because I don't know what day and time we're gonna do this weekend. I know he's a night guy, so that helps us all out. Ben Parrish will be joining the show. probably within the next episode. Big Tuna, he's gonna be fighting Bellator 273. Honestly, I love the guy.
Shout out Ben Parrish, he's fun.
Huh?
The shout out Ben Parrish, he's fun.
Yeah, honestly, follow Ben Parrish, Ben Big Tuna Parrish, on Instagram. Real good guy. You got to get his following up. He's gonna be one guy that you want to know in Bellator. With a win, he is definitely going to be top 10. I'm actually shocked that he's not top 10 now at light heavyweight. And that event is going to be taking place in Phoenix. I'm going to be trying to head out there. So we'll see what goes on there. We also got some big interviews that I'm trying to talk to. We got 3 names that are really getting pretty close to saying yes. I'm not going to say those 3 names out loud. One of them we actually said as a champion. I think all 3 of us did say she will be a champion. And I actually just said she. So we'll let you guys kind of sit on that one. And we'll see you guys next week. Sam, why don't you take us out of here?
Yeah, I mean, should be exciting start to the year. And yeah, hopefully you get at least some of these right. Can't imagine they're all wrong, but yeah, should be an exciting year. And see you guys next time.
All right, peace, guys.